So first off, thank you for inviting me. Wonderfully organized conference, a lot of industry leaders who've shared their perspectives. And specifically your question, how are pharmaceutical supply chains evolving? Pharma supply chains have always been some of the most complex in the world. And it's only become more complex with increasing geopolitical tensions, increasing base of procuring precursor chemicals to, and also increasing markets for specifically Indian pharma manufacturers. Now, in order to tackle a lot of these complexities, digitization is a must. I believe that is step one. What I further believe is after digitizing your entire supply chain, there is an element of optimization that's done that drives efficiencies. And then the next evolution to that is adoption of AI. AI further increases efficiencies within your supply chain. For example, let's say you need 5 different precursor chemicals in order to manufacture your medicine. Today, 2 of your suppliers might say that they can't supply. You need to immediately find other vendors who would supply that to you within the prescribed time at the right price. And this can't be done if all of your supply chain operations are fragmented and let alone not being digitized. So I believe digitization is step one. Increasing efficiency with the digitization is step two. And the next era of evolution is with AI. Absolutely. I mean, with the recent geopolitical tensions, these innovations and investments into digitization are a must. In fact, if you ask most companies in the pharma sector, they would tell you that digitization was needed yesterday. But one of the great things that we see in the Indian pharma manufacturer ecosystem is most companies have now digitized. They are in different phases of digitization, and some have really taken the leap forward, wherein they've reached the peak of digitization and now are adopting AI. Let me give you an example. We all know how the Strait of Hormuz was closed. It was not only oil, but also medicine supplies that were disrupted. Now, during such geopolitical tensions, tariffs, of course, that's another story. But in the era of geopolitical tensions, you need to find alternate routes, you need to find alternate markets, or you need to have a complex supply chain choreography where medicines go from one geography to another, hop on and then finally reach their destination. And all of this can only be done at scale and efficiently if your supply chain is digitized. In absence of that, you can still do it, but it takes a lot of time and it's highly inefficient. Regarding how much AI can help increase efficiencies in a supply chain, I would say there are enormous advantages. In terms of cost savings, I would say we're a little too early in the game. We are really seeing year one of AI-driven outputs in this market, and they're already massive. So rather, I would say that we should not measure the impact of AI in terms of cost savings. Rather, we should measure it in terms of how much improvement in the top line did you get. Were you able to supply your medicines to a particular market on time? Not on what how much of margin you could make. So definitely AI does what 10 people can do in probably a fraction of the time that they would take. So definitely supply chains become a lot more efficient, a lot more reliable, and more importantly, with increasing amount of data available to AI, it notices patterns, it sees trends, and then predicts disruptions in supply chain even before they occur. Now, that amount of predictive analysis is important for you to plan for the future, especially in a capital-intensive industry like the pharma sector. Forward planning is really, really important. Today, most pharma companies have robust planning teams, some of the best, I would say. With AI, they're just going to become even better. So if you've noticed, the Indian market or the Indian manufacturer ecosystem used to be heavily driven by generic medicines. We are the pharmacy of the world. We make a lot of generic medicines for the world. But with recent acquisitions that we've seen, Sun Pharma and others, we are also entering the innovator market game. Complex biosimilars, innovator drugs, and so on. Now, with these, new frontiers also come new challenges. Your supply chain has to be a lot more diverse. Your supply chain has to also be a lot more efficient because these are complex molecules. These are not simple generics. If these were good old synthetic chemistry, your supply chain was fairly simple. But with biosimilars, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a lot more complicated. And we're already seeing evidence in the Indian market of supply chains being more resilient and more efficient with adoption of new technology. Gone are the days when the West was at the forefront of adopting all of these technologies. We were the laggards at one point in time, but today I can confidently say, if not, being ahead of our Western peers, we are at least on par with them when it comes to adopting these, new technologies.